Okay, so to start off, really diving into this chapter of the Barasheet, first, we're actually going to jump way ahead over to Isaiah. Okay, so if you guys don't know who Isaiah is, he was considered a major prophet. Um, and his writings are very, very cool. So, let me show you guys here real quick. I am going to read Isaiah chapter 46. We're going to read verses 1 through 13, but we're really going to zone in on verse 9 and 10. Okay? So, Bel squats. Now, keep in mind, some of these names, the meanings behind them, you guys will pick that up as we go. Okay, so right now it may not mean anything to you. But as we go, these things are just going to come to a whole new light in meaning. So, Bel squats. Nebo soils himself. Their idols were to the beasts and to the cattle. What you carry is made a load, a burden for the weary. They soiled themselves, yea, they squatted together. They could not deliver the burden, and they themselves have gone into captivity. Hearken to me, the house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, who are born from birth, carried from the womb. And until old age, I am the same. And until you turn gray, I will carry. I have made and I will bear, and I will carry and deliver. If you guys haven't noticed yet, it's God speaking, okay? To whom shall you liken me and make me equal and compare me that we may be alike? Those who let gold run from the purse and weigh silver with the balance. They hire a goldsmith and he makes it a god. They kneel, yea, they prostrate themselves. They bear it on the shoulder, they carry it, and they put it in its place, and it stands, and from its place it does not move. Yea, he cries to it, and it does not answer. From his distress, it does not save him. Remember this, and strengthen yourselves. Take to heart, you transgressors. Remember the first things of old. This is verse 9. Remember the first things of old, that I am God and that there is no other. I am God and there is none like me. I tell the end from the beginning and from before what was not done. I say my counsel shall stand and all my desire I will do. I call from the east a swift bird, from a distant land the man of my counsel. Yea, I spoke, I will also bring it. I formed it, I will also do it. Hearken to me, you stout-hearted, that are far from righteousness. I have brought near my righteousness. It shall not go far, and my salvation shall not delay. And I will give salvation in Zion to Israel, my glory. Okay, so you guys, the reason why I wanted to start in Isaiah chapter 46, as we dive into Genesis, Barasheet, chapter 1, is because Isaiah the prophet gave us a prophecy in this. He shed light on a prophecy, and this is one that has been missed over and over and over and over and over again. But I want to bring it to light to you today. So again, we'll read verse 9 and 10. Remember the first things of old, that I am God and there is no other. I am God and there is none like me. I tell the end from the beginning. And from before what was not done, I say, my counsel shall stand and all my desire I will do. So, remember the things of old. I tell the end from the beginning. What is the first book of the Bible? What is the first book of Torah? The first book is Barasheet, which quite literally translates into beginnings. Okay, so let's really break down Barasheet. And you guys bear with me because this is um, dense, I guess. I don't know. So we're going to take a look at this. And I am going to break this down the best that I can. So first of all, we need to educate ourselves a little bit on ancient Hebrew. This language is so important. It's so important. This language reveals so much to us. And for some reason, we aren't ever really led to dive much into this unless we're going and really pursuing like a career in ministry or something like that, and then you learn Hebrew and Greek and all that. But honestly, that is not just for those wanting to get into ministry. This is for the children of God, this language, okay? Because he spoke so much to us in this, and we do need to hear it. So we're going to start off by the very first thing that he gave us. Okay, Barasheet, you guys. So ancient Hebrew has no vowels. It's all consonants. So whenever you look at the script and you see all the dots and the weird lines and symbols around the script, these things are the vowel points that were added in later down the line to help with pronunciation. So they do not have capital letters. They all stay the same. They read and write from right to left, not left to right. And their language is a 3-in-1 language. So that's pretty cool in itself. The script, we'll take this first letter here, and everything you guys are going to look at is going to be backwards, okay, unfortunately. But this here is the bait, okay? The bait also has a picture, a pictogram that goes with this letter, okay? The pictogram then breaks down into a meaning. And for this case, this would be floor plan, tent, or house, okay? So we're going to look at Barasheet now that we've kind of just covered those basic things. And I will write it down, and then we will walk through it. And we're going to read something hidden inside of this word, you guys, that God placed there for us, that the prophet Isaiah revealed to us in 46, 9 and 10. Okay, so first we start with our bait. The very first thing that we're going to notice about this letter is that it's abnormally large compared to the other script. That is an anomaly, okay? So this is not just a tent or a house, okay, or floor plan. This is a very large house, okay? Bait in itself represents the word, let me make sure I have my notes here. Bait is literally translated into in or into, okay? So we have to stop and ask, who's in the house? Okay? So we got this big house. Who's in it? Well, next we have Resh. Resh means the symbol itself breaks down and means the first, the head of man or the head prince. Okay, so we've got the head prince in this abnormally large house. Okay, then this prince, we're told when we read this together, Beit Resh makes the word son, like father, son, okay? So now we've got the head prince, the son, is in the house. Okay? But whose son is in this large house? Then we have the Aleph. Okay? The Aleph is it represents number 1. It's the first letter in the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet. And this represents a strong leader, an ox head, okay, a strong leader. And it also is a representation of God, okay? So now we know that the head prince who's in the house is the Son of God, okay? Now we're going to look at what this is telling us next, which is Beit Resh Aleph. Beit Resh Aleph create the word bara. Bara means creator. Okay, so now we have the head prince in the house. He's the Son of God, the creator. Okay, you guys, keep in mind, we are still just reading the very first word of the Bible, beginnings. And it says all this. Okay, let's continue. All right, then we have Sheen. So Sheen represents, this is first of all a letter that signifies God's ownership of something. So, sorry, I keep looking over at my notes. Let me move my notes over here. Okay, so signifies ownership of something. It represents teeth, to press down, to crush, to destroy. Okay? Okay, so what is it telling us now? To destroy what? What are we doing here? Well, we're told Resh, Aleph, Sheen. Okay? Resh, Aleph, Sheen actually makes up the word Rish, which means head prince, the first. So whenever it's talking about teeth, press down, crush, destroy, it's referring back to the head prince. Okay? Now, we see that if you look closely, the Resh, okay, the head prince has come out of the bait. It's come out of the house. Okay? It's come out of the house to crush, to destroy, to be destroyed, to be crushed. Both? I don't know. Then we've got Yod. Okay? So Yod is representing the symbol here is actually it's a arm and a hand is outreached, okay, or outstretched. So this here, we can really see works, okay, whenever we look at the translations of this, which we're going to dive into Yod here in a second, okay, but it definitely is referring to works, okay, and why did he do these things? Why did he do these works? Okay. So then we have the Tav. Okay. The Tav is pictured in Paleo Hebrew as 2 crossed sticks, aka a cross. Okay. Keep in mind, this is written thousands of years before crucifixion was even a thing, okay? So we've got a cross here that represents a mark or sign and typically stands for the covenant, okay? So we can see that he has come out of the house to face this destruction. And then he does his works. And he does them for the covenant. Okay? So I want to jump back. And I hope you guys really, really caught that. The fact that the very first word of the Bible lays out Yeshua's whole plan and purpose, pretty much. But I wanted to stop on the yod and kind of focus on that. Yod. Some people say it differently. Not sure because everybody says it so differently. It's not sure exactly which one's the right way. But I want to break down the yod real quick. Okay? And let me grab my Bible for this because we are going to do some reference checks on this one. So whenever you look at yod and you go to translate that, it has so many ways that they use it, right? And the more that I break down these translations, I see that you can't just kind of pick one or the other. Like, it's like God uses all of them. You got to look at it as a whole, okay? And he typically is known for saying more than one thing in that thing, just like we just saw in Barasheet. Barasheet has 4 or 5 words inside of that one word, all laying out this story, okay? So let's look at, we know it represents an outstretched arm and hand. It is also described as a stem of a fruit. Stem of a fruit. Okay, well, let's check some biblical references on that. Let's look at John 15. So, John chapter 15 says, I should have bookmarked these beforehand. I am the vine. Remember, Yeshua is saying this. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. So right there, the stem of the fruit, so that relates to Yeshua. Then we have a monument or place. And we can reference check this back in Isaiah 28:16. Oh, right on it. Okay. So this is what the sovereign Lord says. See, I lay a stone in Zion, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone for a sure foundation. The one who trusts will never be dismayed. Okay. Then we've got power and strength for the yod. So let's look at, again, Isaiah. Let's go to 40, verse 29. And he says, he gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. We can also turn to Ephesians 2:20. Okay, and 2:20 says, oh, I'm sorry, this was a reference back for the monument place part of it. So it says, built on the foundation of the apostles and the prophets with Christ Jesus himself as the chief cornerstone. So as far as power and strength, you guys, you can find verses all out. Like, I only grabbed 1 or 2 or so of each of these, but there was really just a whole buffet of verses with these, okay? And they definitely were relating to Yeshua on that. So then yod can also represent a part or your portion, right? So let's look at Psalm 73:26. Psalms 73. 26. Okay, and this says, my flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Okay, then we've got Psalm 16:5. And it says, Lord, you have assigned me my portion and my cup. You have made my lot secure. Another word that represents the yod would be side. So let's look at what John says about side in 1934. So John chapter 19, verse 34. And it says, instead, one of the soldiers pierced Yeshua's side with a spear, bringing a sudden flow of blood and water. So that's actually very interesting. We'll find out why later, but the blood and water thing, it's very cool. Then we have, and there's many more about that too, as far as Yeshua's side. Then we have pointer. The yod can be a pointer. So let's look at John 14:6-7. Which reads, Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really knew me, you would know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. So this is him telling me, I am the way and the truth and the life. He is the one. He's pointing. He is the pointer. He is the one directing us. Okay. Then we've got work. So, yod represents work. We can look at John 5:17, which reads, Jesus said to them, my Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working. Psalm 73:28. Okay. So Psalm 73:28 says, but as for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge. I will tell of all your deeds. Let's see. I think I'm just going to share a lot of these verses here too, but I'll keep going, just one or two of the other ones. Then we have thrust. So when we look at the word thrust in John 20:25, let's see what he says. So John 20:25 says, so the other disciples told him, we have seen the Lord. But he said to them, unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were, and I put my hand into his side, I will not believe it. In other translations, it says thrust his hand into his side. And this is repeated in other places. Then we've got the word deed that is associated with yod. So you guys see there's a lot of works, a lot of deeds in this, a lot of verbs in this, right? Many verbs actually in this. I'm going to go ahead and share all those other ones about deeds. And then we've got make, right? Oh man, you could find verses about making things everywhere. But there's so many that are related to Yeshua. Let me see. Let's look at John 17:26 on this one. So John 17:26 says, I have made I have made you known to them, and I will continue to make you known in order that the love you have for me may be in them, and that I myself may be in them. Actually, I might have written down the wrong verse on that one, but that's okay. Then we have throw. So the word throw can also be used with the yod. So when you guys think about throw, I'm not talking about like throwing a ball. When you look at it biblically, it is typically used in instances when they are casting out or destroying something, okay? Destroying completely, okay? And then we have worship. And we'll go ahead and look at John 4:23-24 real quick. Yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for they are the kind of worshipers that the Father seeks. God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship in spirit and truth. Okay, so we got to keep each of these things in mind, because Yeshua's works, his deeds, we are told to follow his example, right? So when you guys look at Barasheet, the whole thing is we're doing these works, okay, these deeds, this hard work. You guys keep in mind, God worked for 6 days, and then he rested on the 7th, right? So all of these works are for and lead to the Tav, okay? So looking at the Tav again, remember the Tav has the 2 cross sticks and looks like a cross, which represents rest, you guys, okay? So another thing that you guys have to look at in this is there's a warning of strong destruction, okay? The 5th word in Barasheet, that's kind of just hidden in there, is Aleph Sheen, and this represents, the 2 symbols represent a strong leader in destruction. So when you put these together, you're looking at a very strong destruction, okay? And the word itself, it tells us how that destruction will come about. The word itself means fire, you guys. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but this is how the Bible prophesies that our destruction will come in the end times, is by fire. And we're told this numerous times throughout the word. So the fact that it's reflected in the very first word is mind-boggling, you guys. So again, let's just one more time, okay? Isaiah 46, verse 9 and 10. Remember the things of old, that I am God and there is no other. I am God and there is none like me. I tell the end from the beginning, and from before what was not done, I say my counsel shall stand, and all my desires I will do. Our God is faithful, you guys. He's so faithful. And he has broken it down for us over and over and over again. It all points to Yeshua, and we're going to see that. It's going to be amazing, okay? And he tells us, he tells us and warns us of the coming destruction, but he shows us how we can survive it, you guys. He shows us how we can find life through it, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I am going to post a couple other breakdowns that I had prepared over the word Torah and the word Elohim. Elohim is actually, when it says God in chapter 1 of Genesis, of Barasheet, it actually says the word Elohim. So I will show you guys the breakdown that I have of Elohim and the breakdown that I have of the Torah, okay? And just let you guys' minds run wild on it. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Tomorrow we are going to do, we're going to do 1 Kings 18, 1 through 22. Okay, so we're going to do 1 Kings 18, 1 through 22. chapter 2. I'm not sure if we're just going to do chapter 2 or if we'll do chapter 3 as well. I'm going to take a look at it and I'll message you guys to let you know. But yeah, dive in, start reading. If you guys have anything that pops up to you that you want to share, please feel free to share it. The whole point of this group is to gain understanding of God's word so that we can fully grasp the purpose that God has ordained over our lives. Because currently we are, very bluntly speaking and plainly speaking, we are living in the way of Cain. The society that we live in, it's a road to destruction. It is. The Bible is very clear about it. And we can see how this is hindering our lives, stealing our lives even. But praise Yahweh that he has a way, that he's given us a word that can literally free us from all these worldly torments. So I just pray that Yahweh keeps you today, that his face shines upon you, and that he is gracious to you. And just remember to be that example today, the example that this world desperately, desperately needs. So you guys have a blessed one. Shalom.